Well, thank you so much. It's good to be here in Nebraska. I think this is maybe the third or fourth year I've come up. First time they dared to ask me to speak, I think. They asked for Alyssa Gillum, who is our new legislative director. And, you guys are very familiar with the way it works on farms. You divide and conquer. And that's kind of the way it's been with NSP this year. And checkoff as well. There's a lot of moving parts. There's no question that with this new administration, there's been, a change of pace. I think that would be a very safe way to put that. And what that has meant for our crew is we hit the ground running. And we've been very fortunate to be invited to be at the table with these conversations. And it's been a bit of a challenging year, as you guys have felt. And so, when we talk about, what's going on in sorghum, it's what's not going on in sorghum. A lot of hurdles we still have to clear, but I just wanted to hit a few things that we've been spending time on. And none of this stuff is going to be new news to you. We're getting ready to talk about new uses in the next panel. E15 we thought was baked, and unfortunately it was not. And one thing about sorghum is in the conversations we're having to get things done, we're also doing a lot of educating. So many people don't know that sorghum can be used in ethanol production. So that's a number one first topic. Did you know? So that's been an interesting topic and something we continue to push forward. I know we had some offices here, state and federal, and so appreciate bosses and their work on our behalf because it has not been an easy process to continue to push. So we're thankful for our friends on the state and national level for getting that done, working towards getting that done. Trade. So as you all know, sorghum, China has been our number one buyer. 80 to 96% of our exported sorghum goes to China. And you hear all the time, like, don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Well, we don't want to. We're working really hard to put eggs in different baskets. And visiting with Samantha earlier, and you'll hear from her at Grains Council, India in January of 25, I often say that everybody is going to be so tired of hearing Amy talk about India because I'm very passionate. That's our next market. There's no question about it. So January of 2025, went over there with Checkoff and the council too, and got to see firsthand what it was that would open the door for sorghum to get into India. And it is the poultry production. So currently they have this battle between feed and fuel. Well, as we've talked about, non-GMO. It's an easy way to open that door. So we saw the poultry production needing sorghum. So as we have this conversation and how do we align and let's be honest, there's a lot of things that we can do, and then there's a lot of things that are out of our control as far as the politics. But we continue to build those relationships. That's something I really want to stress is the importance of relationships, and today more than ever. Those relationships that were built in India have been 20, 30 years in the making. And that's what matters. China relationships have been, just as there's generations of farmers here, there's generations of buyers there. And so don't forget to make sure in your conversations that we have to build those relationships. It may not be easy to sit across the table and listen to what other people have to say, but that's what our job is, to not only educate, but to listen. Because if we don't know where the opposition's coming from, how can we fight it? So that's another thing. Trade continues, as I said, to be an uphill battle for us. The Farm Bill, we're glad that got out of the House committee, but we still have work to do. One of the big things that we're focusing on sorghum specific is food for peace. That was a USAID piece, and as we know, that got left behind. So we're, as sorghum, excited to see food for peace being back in motion and back at USDA. I did not know that it originally was at USDA, but that's just makes sense, a perfect place for that to be. So we hope that that is finalized in that Farm Bill, and we're excited to see the momentum pick up on that. Gosh, I'm trying to think of some other things. It has been a busy 13, 14, 15 months. I can't remember how many months we're on now. But what I want to say on National Sorghum's behalf is I hope that you realize we are working diligently. We have not cleared the finish line on a lot of things, on a lot of our top priorities, but it hasn't been because we haven't been putting in the effort. We've been at the table. We have been invited to conversations, one of those being MAHA. Regardless of how you feel, that's where we are today. And sorghum finds itself in a very unique area to be able to be at that table, not just be there, but be invited. Because as we've heard, there are a lot of health benefits that sorghum has to offer. And other commodities don't have that luxury, and sometimes fighting for their life at that particular table. But not only do we have the opportunity to talk about sorghum and what we have to offer, but we say, wait a minute, you can't take away these crop protection tools. So we're talking about sorghum, but we're also educating for agriculture as a whole. And so those are just the things that, we see that these are the battles, but not only fighting just for sorghum, but agriculture as a whole, which we all know, we don't just farm sorghum. Many of us farm lots of different things. So taking advantage of those opportunities to educate and to be an advocate for agriculture as a whole has been very important and something we're really excited and proud of. We talked about what does it look like acres, and I think Dr. Beam hit it on the head. It all varies. One thing, and if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me mention it, my father-in-law said sorghum was the only thing that kept him from losing the entire farm in the 80s. It was the only thing he could afford to put in the ground that he knew would yield. And fortunately, I don't think we're in the 80s yet. But we're certainly seeing some farms struggle. So very much appreciative of the bridge payments and the work that is happening at USDA. I think we can see that team is running very hard, and we need to have those conversations. Very proud of $48.11 for that farmer bridge payment for sorghum. It wasn't easy. There's a lot of commodities that have their hands out as well. So I'm proud of that. And that's not Amy, that's our team doing a very good job. And again, having those relationships. We have good relationships at USTR, fantastic, that are working on our behalf. Lots of countries. Tim always talks about having homework. So they send out homework on Friday about a certain country, and then it's due on Sunday night, and generally met with additional homework Sunday and Monday because they're at that pace. Last year at Commodity Classic, we met with Secretary Brooke Rollins. You knew, man, they had their running shoes on. We walked out of our meeting, and I said to Tim, we have to match their pace. We have to be the commodity that matches their pace, that answers the phone calls, that replies to the emails within 24 hours or less, or they'll leave us behind. Not intentionally and not sorghum specific, but they're looking for somebody to match their pace. And I'm very proud of the sorghum team that they have matched that pace and been that partner in what is that next country, what is that next conversation. Let's call sorghum and ask them. And I have seen it firsthand, those relationships. The other thing I want to mention is, again, that longevity in our National Sorghum, not only our board and our staff. I want to highlight specifically Tim Lust. Many of you know Tim, but when we go to DC, there is this respect for Tim and our team that flows over. And so I just want to kind of put creds out there. I'm excited for y'all to meet Alyssa. She'll be great for you and an advocate. She's doing a lot, hit the ground running as well. And just wanted to finally take a minute to recognize. So we have past leadership in the room. And I know we've got a gentleman that wasn't able to make it, but one of the highlights of my Commodity Sorghum or Commodity Classic this year was bringing our past chairman to the event. and to listen to the stories. I think it was maybe even you, Gerald, that said, you guys are talking about the same fights we were fighting. I don't know if that brought me comfort or not. It just means that we can't stop working. But we got to hear from them. They sat in on our board meeting. I was a little bit intimidated, to have these guys that have led the organization years before sit in to see if I could handle my board. And most of the time, I think I can handle my board. It's pretty lively. But just thanks to those, not only national level, but state leadership, that's what we need. We also have leadership sorghum. That is a very important aspect of breeding the next line of leaders. And a lot of our leadership have gone through the program. So if that's something anybody is interested in, I know we've got Mike that's a graduate there. And so finally, we have legislative committee. And I know we've got Tyler here. We're really excited about that. And something that we're kind of trying to refocus on. We haven't taken a group to DC, a legislative committee group, since 2019. COVID hit everybody a little different, and so as we are picking the pieces up, we're trying to kind of revitalize and revisit what some of these things look like. So we're getting ready at the end of the month to take our first cruise since 2019 back to DC. Really excited about that, and just look forward to the conversations and relationships we can build. If there's anything else that National Sorghum can do for you that we overlook, please don't hesitate to let us know. There's a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of things to juggle right now. And so let us know what's happening on your farm. I always say my message is only as powerful as my growers. So let me know when I go to DC. Unfortunately, I don't know. I've been there a lot recently, which is a good thing. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. But let me know what you're experiencing on your farm, what we can do for you on behalf of National Sorghum. And I say it's a great job, but at times it's a weighty job because I know it's not easy in farm country. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the invitation to be here, and look forward to visiting with you the rest of the day.